Richie, you're all very welcome as always. You're all very welcome, with a special shout out to my little band of Patreon followers who keep this nonsense going. And if you would like to join them and can afford just a fiver a month, that would be greatly appreciated. Now, if you can't afford that, no problem. You are still more than welcome. Glad to have you along. I indeed. Now, there's only one big story this week. And no, it isn't the funeral of a pope. No, we talk about that later on. No, believe it or not, the funeral of a pope comes second place to rap band Kneecap, who appear to have kneecapped themselves. To begin with, I'm pretty certain that what I'm about to say will annoy both Kneecap fans and detractors in equal measure. This is because we live in a society where it's binary, where if you're not 100% on either side, then you're against. As they've been on a loop both local, national, international news stations, you've no doubt already seen the clips of the Kneecap members shouting, "The only good Tory is a dead Tory," and "Kill your MP," with another outburst where "Up Hamas, up Hezbollah," screamed from the stage. Indeed, the word Kneecap has appeared so often in the news, I'm beginning to feel like I'm back in the 70s and 80s. Now, I am not a Kneecap fan. This will surprise nobody. As being a man of 64, I don't exactly fall within their desired demographic. Being a child of the 60s, my ambient soundtrack is Simon and Garfunkel, or maybe even Neil Diamond. Yes, hey, I hold my hands up. I am a closet, easy listening fan. No doubt that humiliating admission will now knock the whole Kneecap debacle off the front pages. But aside from their music, which other younger, more discerning people have assured me is very, very good indeed, I found their use of balaclavas, burning police murals, and general uber republicanism a tad tiresome. I'm sorry, it's a tad tiresome. For these three young fellas have had the great good fortune to have been born into peace, or whatever passes for peace in these parts. Myself and my generation, however, we spent the majority of our lives trapped in the conflict. For us, there's no glamour in burning jeeps or bullets nor bombs, for we've seen personal experience their outcome. And I do understand that our divided society was unlikely to ever throw up a rap band singing Kumbaya, but I'd have hoped at least it would have spawned one able to reach out from its own tribe across the sectarian divide. Like as a boy, I remember sitting in St. Patrick's Chapel on Donegal Street, our parish chapel, as the priest struggled to make himself heard over the concussive beat of orange bands standing at the front door of the church. These musicians, of course, were known as Kick the Pope bands. Kneecap should worry that they're on the cusp of being seen as a Kick the Prod band. Now, it has been both unedifying yet hilarious to watch the swathe of nationalist commentators engage in verbal gymnastics and ethical acrobatics in their attempts to excuse or justify the band's outbursts. Rationalization's going on. I've been breathtaking. Now, and I thought rationalization, I thought we'd get in here. This is an explanation. Rationalization is a common defense mechanism that people use to protect their self-image and avoid feelings of guilt or shame. Ring any bells? How it works: instead of acknowledging bad behavior, the person or people create an explanation that makes it seem less problematic or even justifiable. Look over there. Examples. Look over there. Look at that. We're bad, but look over there. Now, the underlying reasons, right? Rationalization can stem from various factors, including a desire to avoid responsibility, maintain a positive self-image, or protect oneself from criticism. Ding, 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 ding. And how you distinguish it from genuine justification? It's important to note that rationalization differs from genuine justification, which involves a sincere explanation of the reasons behind a behavior and an acknowledgement of its potential consequences. I believe that Kneecap's statements on stage were both crass and stupid. But, and there is a but, I do not believe that they were intentionally either a hate crime nor incitement to violence. I come at this from a somewhat unique position, as I have been working as a stand-up comic here for over 30 years dealing with politics and current affairs. Now, during that time, I genuinely cannot count the number of occasions where in the heat of a performance I have said something I subsequently regretted. Thank God nobody was filming it. And I am not alone in this. I recently watched an interview with comic Jimmy Carr, one of the most successful stand-up comics in the UK, known as someone who also pushes the envelope in his live shows. Now, the interviewer asked him if he was worried that he could end up being cancelled for something he said. He gave a very surprising answer. He said he was sure he would be cancelled, but not for something he said, but for something he'd already said, which was yet to be discovered and shared with the world. Performers who venture into the realms of politics or current affairs now face a McCarthy-esque risk of being blackbooked, or what today is called cancelled. Just to put this in context, I would like to offer up a mea culpa, right? By showing a short segment from my tour last year where I commented on the attempted assassination of presidential candidate Donald Trump. Now, warning, strong language, warning. Here we go. Most famous comb over the day has to be the Donald. He's got 3 comb overs. There's 1, there's 2, there's fucking all sorts of stuff going on there. The other enemy of comb overs isn't just the sweat, it's the wind. The wind hits a comb over. It's not good, not good. But I am convinced that that's one of the reasons Donald survived. I think that bullet ricocheted off his comb over and nicked his wee ear. Here's my problem with that, right? In a country where statistically there are more guns than people, they couldn't find one fucker who could shoot straight. I could go down New Lodge tonight and find 5. I'm only saying. It's a conundrum for me, you know. First off, it's interesting that a lot of my friends say I should never have shown that because I now risk being banned from the US, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Isn't that strange? And that clip, see that clip? First of all, a lot of people think it's bad taste. Fair enough. That's fair enough. But there's 2 ways to view it, right? The first is the way I intended it, which was as a comedic way to deal with the madness of gun ownership in the USA. But you could also argue that what I said indicated that I was disappointed that the shooter hadn't been successful in attacking Trump. Now, I can put my hand on my heart and say the second was never my intention. But it could be taken out of context and seen in that way. This is part of a much longer segment where I commented on Trump's campaign and hairstyle, but I chose not to show that to illustrate how easy it is to frame a comment in 2 diametrically different ways. Now, as for Kneecap offering a fulsome apology, bullshit. But I can see why they did what they did. Let's be honest about this. For their fans, no apology was necessary, and for their detractors, no apology would ever have sufficed. And so the game will play out. Having already had a number of their gigs cancelled, I wouldn't be surprised if their Glastonbury gig soon is added to that list. Worse is the certainty that in Trump's America, they will now face a visa ban. All this before any crime has been identified or legal sanction imposed. This is testament to a cold winter for any performer who dares to question the status quo regarding the ongoing genocide being perpetrated in Palestine. As I said at the outset, my comments will please neither friend nor foe of the band, but I hope at least it will be seen as a measured response to what has become a media frenzy. Let me end with this. While I'm not a fan of rap, I am old enough to remember how it began in the US, with black rappers continually denounced for their incendiary lyrics, especially regarding the American police. And that tradition continues right up until today, with a rapper called Calvin Codazar Broadars Jr. Can't pronounce that right. Well, he recently penned these lyrics. Now, this is a very, very strong language warning. Do you understand here? Take no responsibility for this. Some of this shit makes me blush. Here we go. All you N-word out there, take your guns that you using to shoot each other and start shooting these bitch-ass motherfucking police. That'll impress a fucking N-word like me, the crooked fuckers, cause these police getting way too fucking out of line. That's my song, still available on Apple Music. Penned by J5 Slap and the rapper called Calvin Cordazar Broadas Jr., thankfully, who is now better known to the world as Snoop Dogg. And yes, there were calls by numerous police forces across America for the cancellation of Snoop Dogg's appearance at the Super Bowl, but it went ahead. So maybe, just maybe, Kneecap have a future. And if they do, I'd implore them, lads, lose the balaclava and at least try to reach out, not just to the tribe into which you just happen to be born, but across the divide. Because doing what you're doing is the easy and lazier option. And if you continue in this fashion, you may remain on the right side of history, but you'll end up being nothing more than a historical footnote.
You'll do nothing. You hear me? You'll do nothing.